Welcome back, everybody, to the next matchup of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generation Next tournament. Here we have Dimitri versus Dark Zane. Now, Dimitri was a copycat duelist, if you didn't know, and long story short, he stole Yugi Moto's deck. But I did not want to just, send over the deck from the last tournament. And so what I decided to do was come up with something brand new for you guys to use, because there's different monsters that Yugi played that got their own sort of support, and you can kind of build a deck around them. On top of the new Blackluster Soldier support, he does have some Spellcaster stuff in here, and it also goes hand in hand with Gaia cards because it was made so where Gaia cards can be used to go ahead and pay for the majority of the ritual summons, since it's a level 8 and Gaias are all level 7s and whatnot. You have this guy who's essentially a cyber dragon, and he can go up to 3,000 if your opponent has a monster stronger than him. This is Curse of Dragonfire, and it's actually somewhat of a deadly card in this tournament because most decks in this tournament run a field spell, and on summon, this guy blows up a field spell. And he's also his own polymerization for his fusion monster, which we'll take a look at later. Skilled Magicians summon something when they have 3 counters, and they get a counter anytime a player uses a spell card. This summons Dark Magician. This summons a Gaia the Fierce Knight. This would summon Skull, but we're not running that. So these two we're mainly using for the graveyard effect, which basically lets you put a spell counter on something on the field. Going over the Blackluster Soldier support, we have Evening, Twilight Night, and Beginning Night here. And when they're used for the ritual summon, the monster that you summon out gets 2 different effects for each of these guys. So with the Beginning Night, you can go ahead, and this is the same effect that Twilight gives. You get to banish a monster your opponent controls once per turn. And that is a very powerful effect because that's what the original Blackluster Soldier monster did. It's crazy, and the better part about that is there is no downside to using that effect, and you get to do it twice if you use both of these. Now with the Beginning Night, you also get the other Blackluster Soldier effect, where when you destroy a monster in battle, you get to attack for a second time in a row. The other one also lets you banish a card randomly in your opponent's hand face down until their next end phase. So that can disrupt some major plays if you hit the right card, or it can help lock them out of a duel. Situation similar to the Yada lock, where they have to basically top deck and to try and get out of their situation. Then there's Envoy of Chaos, which is a Kalut for Blackluster Soldier and for Gaia the Fierce Knight monsters, giving them 1,500, and he can also banish a Light in the Dark in the graveyard to recycle himself, which is really great because when these two are banished, you get to search for a ritual spell and a ritual monster. Then of course there's Super Soldier, the main symbol of the deck. Sorry to say, Dark Magician. Basically, when this guy destroys a monster in battle, he has the Flame Wingman effect of burning your opponent equal to that monster's attack. And if you manage to kill this guy, you do get a free Gaia the Fierce Knight monster from hand deck or graveyard straight onto the field. The spells and trap cards for that sort of archetype are actually kind of powerful as well, with the Super Soldier Ritual having an effect where you can banish a Light and Dark from the graveyard in order to conduct a ritual summon. Now looking over the Fusion monster, I won't go over all the spells and traps and stuff, as most of this is actually pretty similar to the Yugi deck. So, Galloping Gaia the Dragon Champion, a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster plus any one dragon, and his name becomes Gaia the Dragon Champion on the field. So on special summon, you get to search for Spiral Spear Strike, which lets the 3 named monsters do piercing damage. If you do damage with that effect with the fusion monster, you can actually draw 2 cards and then discard 1. Then, to keep Dragon Champion theme going, we actually threw in the Xyz monster here because with all the Gaias, there is actually a good amount of level 7s in the deck. The rest of the side deck is actually just more general Gaia / Chaos support, and the Chaos part is actually the most important part. That's why you have things like the Watapon, because you do run the original BLS in here as well. You have a Terraforming to search the all-powerful Gateway to Chaos. Now, on activation, you get a search for a Blackluster Soldier Ritual monster or a Gaia monster. When monsters go from the hand or field to the graveyard, Chaos Field gets a counter. and by removing 3 counters, you get to search for a ritual spell card from your deck. So really nice stuff. And then just some more support over here. They're not too good, and they're not often used, so I don't think I really have to go over anything there. So let's take a look at Dark Zane. Now, Dark Zane is running the Underworld deck, aka Cyber Dark Dragons. Being the new evil, edgy little shit that he is, he has the alternate art version of Cyber Dragon, and actually same thing with the Cyber End Dragon here. But anyways, if you don't know, when Cyber Dark Dragons are normal summon, they take a dragon monster from your graveyard and equip it to themselves. They gain that monster's attack points, and they have the individual effects. But these are the anime versions, and so it's not level 3 or lower. It's level 4 or lower, and it's from either player's graveyard. Keel does 300 burn damage whenever he destroys a monster. Horn does piercing damage, and Edge can attack directly, doing half of the damage. Then you have powerful dragons like Infernal Dragon because of their 2,000 point stat line. But the most important part are the new Cyber Dark supports that we have. So we have Cannon and Claw. And essentially, both of them can discard themselves in order to search something. This gets a Cyber Dark spell or trap, aka your Cyber Dark Impact. And Cannon here actually lets you grab one of the Cyber Dark machine monsters. And these two are in fact dragons, so they can equip themselves to the Cyber Dark monsters. Then when the monsters they're equipped to battle, Cannon lets you dump a monster from your deck, and Claw lets you dump a monster from your extra deck. I raised the deck size to a total of 42 to help make sure that he doesn't deck out all too often, especially with cards like Powerwall. Now, this is not the printed version. This is the anime version. So when you take damage from an opponent through battle, of course, you mill as many cards as you want. And for every card that you mill, you negate 100 points of damage. Then, of course, you have the anime Future Fusion. So you summon the monster you want right away, and it can't attack until the next turn. And there is no downside of MSTing this thing and then losing the monster. None of that shenanigans. And there's also Explorer Dragon. When he battles someone, you take no damage, and then that monster dies. With all the graveyard stuff that's going on, you have Declaration of Rebirth, which he used in the anime, and it changes the type of all monsters in the graveyard. If for whatever reason you do not have a 5-headed dragon in your grave, you can just go ahead and absorb your opponent's strongest monster and turn it into a dragon so that you can do so. Cyber Dark Inferno protects all your Cyber Dark monsters that are equipped with something from being destroyed by card effects, and they also cannot be targeted by card effects either. Then another thing you can do is you can send one from your field to your hand in order to normal summon additionally another Cyber Dark monster that you have. And when this card goes to the graveyard, you get any spell card from your deck that has polymerization or fusion in its name. Going through the extra deck really quick, you do have Cyber Dark Dragon over here who can absorb any dragon type monster. He gains 100 attack for every card in your graveyard, and if he would be destroyed by battle, the equipped monster goes instead. Cyber Darkness Dragon, who summoning conditions are kind of difficult. I mean, it's more annoying than difficult because you need 5 Cyber Dark effect monsters, but you can equip any dragon or machine from your graveyard to him. You can send an equipped card that you control to the graveyard to negate the activation of something and destroy it, and this is in fact a quick effect. Looking at Chimera Tech Overdragon, he does not have the restrictions that he does in real life, meaning you fuse a bunch of different machines together plus at least one Cyber Dragon. 800 attack for every machine that you decided to use, and he can attack all those times +1, and they do not have to all be attacks on monsters like in real life. So I can potentially and very easily attack all 5 of my opponent's monsters and then attack him like another 10 times to his face. 2 other very deadly fusion monsters he has are Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon and Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Now, Fortress Dragon negates all of his attacks. And unlike in real life, sadly, you do need to fusion summon this one. He can attack up to the number of monsters that you use for his fusion summon. For all of those attacks that he negates himself, you burn your opponent. So if they have some big thing that you can't run over, but their life points are low enough, you can just straight up burn them to death. Rampage Dragon is 2 or more Cyber Dragon monsters. You can go ahead and destroy spells and traps equal to the amount of material that you used. And once per turn, you can send light machine monsters up to 2 from your deck to the graveyard to give him that many additional attacks. Core right here to get you some search. Cyber Network because you just can't get enough OP cards with these sorts of characters. Cybernetic Hidden Technology. When your opponent attacks, you can go ahead and ditch Cyber Machine Monster to the graveyard to destroy the attacking monster and end the battle phase, since this is the anime version. You can also use this effect by discarding this card from your hand. And that was a lot to go through. Dark Zane is top 5 biggest threats of this entire tournament. So without further ado, let the duel begin.